Well, this has been a strange night in some respects, in that I was getting some of the most different people. I would say maybe special people. I had one guy, he couldn't tell me exactly what his... I had trouble understanding what he was saying when he was telling me where he was going. And then he'd say, no, it's the other way. Okay, fine. And we got there, and it was $5.40 on the meter. Not a great big amount. And he wanted to pay with the Interac machine. So I put $5.40 on the machine and gave it to him. And he messed around with the machine for a while until he got it to work and got it back to me, and what it said was $1. It must have he must have hit no when he didn't want to give $5.40, and then he gave it 50 cents, and then he gave it a 50-cent tip because that's what he thought he was doing, and so it came out to 50 cents plus 50 cents, $1. And when I got this back, I told him, well, no, this doesn't seem right, because it's definitely more than $1, and we have $1 printed out here. So I had to convince him to that we had to run another $4.40 on the meter, and that's what we ended up doing. There was another guy got sent to Denny's, and he had a bicycle, and he wanted to go to he wanted to bring his bicycle along, and he says, well, can you help me? Well, yeah, I was going to help you, but you're in the way. I'll help you get your bike in there. Sure. So I ended up pulling I opened up one of the side doors and turned the handlebars the right way. And when I did that, he was pushing the bike towards me. He was a big guy, and he looked kind of surly, so I just thought, okay, fine. Whatever. And I asked him what part of town, or where he's going, and he just gave me a part of town. So I headed there, and then I said, so what do we do, keep going this way? He says, yeah, or yes, sir, he said. So I'm going along, and we're about at the edge of that part of town, and I said, well, what's the address you're going to? And he gave me the address, and it was back the other way. So I had to turn around and take him back the other way. And then there's a traffic light that's red before his place. And he said, well, would you turn that off? Okay, so I turned it off at 14. It would have been maybe 20 cents more, but he wanted to turn that off, so I turned it off. Then his Interac didn't work twice. We ran it twice, both times declined. So he says, well, I'll have to pay you with cash then. And he had the cash. He paid me with the cash. Then that worked out, and he wanted exact change. And before he even paid me, he said, can we get my fucking bike out? It's like, oh boy, you've been drinking, haven't you? So anyway, then we had, at one point, my phone rang while I was watching a video, and a friend of ours had passed away last night at 11:50. I'm gonna have to text Cindy about that. Then, what else happened? I had a girl that came out to Mount Newton Crossroad, which was a $35 fare. She gave me $40. A homeless girl. And I had another one to a sketchy apartment building near downtown, and it said on the machine, check for cash. So I took the guy anyway, and he says, well, can you spin the car around? I'm going to be right back. And so he ducked in next to this dark house, And believe it or not, he came back, and he paid generously when he gave me like $18 for the $15 fare. That was all right. And now I got called to the highway because the car was broken down and these people had to get to the airport. So now you know why I'm leaving the airport now. It was to bring these people here from the broken down car. Somebody was taking them to the airport and the car broke down, so they called us. So it's been strange. The night has had a strange energy, and some people were quite, I don't know, out of sorts. Yeah, I could say that, out of sorts. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Well, here we are downtown, dropping off at 5 o'clock. I just dropped off this girl who works down here at a bookstore and dropped her off at McDonald's so that she could go get some coffee before unlocking the door at the bookstore. What kind of night? It was a good night until about, I don't know, 12:30 or so. It was quite steady. It was quite good. I did a lot of connecting. Look, there's construction everywhere. This town is just growing by leaps and bounds. And after that, I went into my usual place where I like to park and watch videos, and I fell asleep. I think it was an hour and a half later that I woke up and I realized that I was booked off, because if you don't touch this thing for an hour and a half, it books you off. And it had just been an hour and a half. So I booked myself back on, and 2 minutes later got a fare, and it went into town. Not quite down here, but in this general direction. Then I went back to my spot and went to sleep again. So between 3 and 4:30, I went to sleep again. Then at 4:45, I got a call and brought this girl downtown. So it was busy until 12:30, but I think since 12:30 I've had 3 trips. Is that correct? I'll have to check my book. Let me see. Yeah, look at it. Let's see. 12:30. Okay, I've had 4 trips since 12:30. About $50 worth. I guess I've done okay. And look at this. At this hour, I can get green lights all the way out of town. Any other time, it's stop and go, stop and go. But now in the early morning, I can just go. And there's no traffic. It's a beautiful time of the morning. Anyways, yeah, nothing special tonight. No great big drama. It just was what it was. And why do I keep shooting? Well, this thing just looks so good, doesn't it? This is just the perfect lighting in this early twilight, this early morning thing just before the sun comes up. Oh, shit, a red light. Well, I'll talk to you soon. It's Thursday just after 6, and I'm starting my walk to work. The Wednesday night, it started slowly, but I didn't worry too much. Starting slowly is not a big problem, because there's plenty of time to make some money happen during the night. And broke even around midnight, or a little earlier, maybe around 11. And between 11 and 1:30, I made about $50, maybe a little more, maybe 60, 65. So that was okay. And then it got quiet. Between 1:30 and 4, I did nothing. Then at 4 or so, this trip started coming in again. And I ended up with a little over 200 in the end. I had a couple of $20 fares that really helped, a few shorter ones, and the night came together. And no, I didn't strike it rich or anything, but I was able to put enough money in the bank to take care of the bills of the end of the month, including the rent. So now I got 2 weeks left to work, and in that time, maybe I'll save a little bit of money to go camping. Now, the campsite's already paid for, and I usually get groceries every week anyway, so that's not a big thing. The gas shouldn't be too bad. Maybe I'll burn $60 worth of fuel to get there and back, which is not much, because I have a little car that doesn't take a lot of fuel. And the only big expense that I can think of when I'm camping will be firewood, because I do not have the means to bring firewood with me, except for maybe a bit of kindling, and that's just some old pieces of furniture and stuff that was left over in storage at Cindy's when she moved. And so I have a few sticks of pine here and there, a few pieces of wood to start fires with, but nothing to really burn besides that. So I'll be buying firewood there at $7 or $8 a bundle. Probably use 2 bundles an evening. I'll be there for 6 evenings. So yeah, do the math. We're talking a little over $100 in firewood, or something around that. So firewood and food, and maybe bring a little more money for, there's a fish and chip place I like to stop at when I go camping up in Ucluelet. And if they have the halibut on, it's the best halibut I've ever had. It's fresh caught, and it's battered on the spot, and it's prepared right in front of you. So I'm looking forward to that. And maybe in my travels I'll find a rare bottle of whiskey or 2. So, you know, it's good to have some money on hand just so that you can get these things if you want them. What else? Okay, so Thursday night, here we go. Thursday and Friday, and then 2 more weeks, and I'll be going black for a week. So you probably won't see me after, I don't know, after around the 5th of August, from about the 5th to the 15th, maybe longer, maybe till the 20th or so. Yeah. But meanwhile, I'll still be here for another couple weeks. Okay, I'll let you know how this went towards the end later. Now, what is going on with mornings this week? This was another one of those where, you know, from about 2:30 till 5, I had nothing to do but sleep. there again, going past downtown. I did just a little more than 200 if you include the last trip, which was a $28 thing including the tip. And look at the Parliament buildings with seagulls all over the lawn. Yeah. So it did not go all that busy. It was the morning, there was nothing, and it's been like that all week. And most other weeks, you know, there's a bit of business between 2 and 5, but lately, this week, I don't know. Have I moaned about this yet? That I think a lot of people are on vacation? Or maybe it is that they changed around the dispatch again and it doesn't work properly anymore. Old people walking around in their pajamas. What next? I don't know. Well, this was another one of those mornings. What can I say? Hopefully Friday won't do the same thing, because that's what it did last week. Friday did the same thing. It went dead after 2. Looks like a street cleaner was busy this morning. I'll be back. Okay, we got Saturday morning here. It is 6:18 a.m. It was a good night. It was steady, solid until 1 o'clock. Then at about 2 o'clock I had a fare, and then I had a nap for about an hour. At 3 o'clock I started getting calls again, and they were like $20 and $30 calls. So even though I only had 300 on at 3 o'clock, or even at 2 o'clock, and at 3 o'clock because I had a break for about an hour, I got over 400 in the end because of those longer trips in the morning hours after 3. So that all worked out really well. The last one was a strange one in that last 3 weeks in a row I got sent to this address, and it was a regular customer from way back. And I've taken her many times, and this time what happened was it was a time call that she set up for 5:40 in the morning, and it said no calls. So I got to the house at 5:40 at 5:35 in the morning 2 weeks ago, and I waited there till 5:55 and then called no load. Last week I was there at 5:35 for the 5:40 call. I was there until 5:50. Then I called a no load. This morning I was there at 5:35, and at 5:40 she didn't come out. So at 5:45 I called a no load. Well, I went to the gas station, fueled up, paid for my fuel, came back to the car, and I had neglected to shut this thing off. It was beeping at me. It was beeping at me for that same address and that same person. 15 minutes after the call. So I went there, and there she was standing outside. And I asked her, "What's going on?" I said, I was here for your time call 3 weeks in a row, and you never came out. And at the same time, it says on here, no calls, no calls. It says no calls. So when it says no calls, I don't call. And she says, well, you can call me now. If you're there for that time call, you call me at 5:40 because I'm running late now. I said, okay, I'll do that from now on. I just follow the instructions as best I can. And now I have permission from you to call you when I get sent on that time call. Okay, you have a deal. I will call you. Anyways, this is it. It's the end of the morning for me. I've already fueled. I'm going to park it. And I hope yours is better than mine.